Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. I wanted to take a second to give you guys a teaching lesson, and I was actually just recording a video for the members area on this YouTube channel, the paid members. Shout out to all you guys. I was recording a video on how to start a app business, how to build apps and make money from these apps. And I was talking about, the different kinds of apps you can build. And I was talking about, one of the apps that we're teaching how to build, or we're going to teach, and this was the first video of it, was kind of creating a wallpaper application. One of the easiest things that you could do is create a wallpaper app with Midjourney, because Midjourney can create beautiful, beautiful wallpapers. I mean, look at images like this, right? This is a beautiful image to me. And you can create various images and relatively quickly, right? And I don't need to hire a photographer. I don't need to hire an artist of any sort. I don't need to pay for licenses or anything like that. Everything is taken care of for me, right? Midjourney, Leonardo, whatever AI tool you want to use. My point is that you can do it relatively easily. But I did kind of end that video saying something. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, this is a membership video. So I'll leave the link in the description if you want to see it. But I was kind of I said something towards the end that I actually want to mention to everybody listening. Okay, everybody listening, because there's many times where people will watch my videos on other topics and then they'll not watch, right? So I have 43,000 subscribers on this channel. People will start watching and they'll get what they need and they'll drop off, which is perfectly fine, perfectly normal for YouTube in general. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying what it is. But for the new people that come and watch, I want you guys to hear what I have to say today. Because if you can adopt this philosophy, adopt this philosophy, you can really make moves in your life that are pretty critical. And I made polls, I made setups before where everybody wants to achieve this financial independence. In fact, there's a whole movement on it. It's called FIRE, right? And we can Google it together, we can watch videos together, and we can react to different videos on YouTube here in the future. But FIRE, and I think that would actually be beneficial if I do react to certain videos and just kind of commentate on them so you guys can have some awareness as to my point of view on things, because I feel like my point of view is very valuable. I don't say that pompously or arrogantly. I say that in a way where I've been through so many business experiences, both, like literally creating a corporation, selling that corporation at a young age, to kind of adapting this solopreneur philosophy. And to be honest, is much more relaxing, to be on, really, I can't say that any other way. Much more relaxing, much more calm approach, which is what I prefer. I like a relaxing approach. Sometimes you do need the hustle and bustle of life, but sometimes also the solopreneur, not really creating a company, but you are the company is a little bit easier to handle as well. So anyways, the point is that what I've learned and what I've come to terms with on this YouTube channel is that majority of the people who watch this, they want financial independence, or as close to financial independence as possible. And what financial independence really is financial freedom, right? So I'll write FF here for financial freedom. I don't think people necessarily want to retire early. And I say this to say is if you've ever taken the idea of a long vacation. Now, me personally, I don't really take vacations. I feel like my life is a vacation. I don't go to work for anybody. I don't, I don't have any tasks that I ever have to do. There's nobody on my shoulders saying do this or do that. I'm effectively a free man in a way, right? So there's nothing I really have to do. So in terms of retiring, right, people think of I want to retire early. I want to do nothing for the rest of my life. That's actually a bleak existence. It's a pretty sad existence. There's not much to it. However, a lot of people want the financial freedom aspect. I don't think people listening, all of them don't want to do any work. I don't think that's the case, because if you didn't want to do work, you wouldn't even be watching this channel to begin with. I think there has to be some sort of element inside of you that allows you to have the desire for some sort of work, and you get gratification through work. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. I think a lot of people that I know personally outside of this business world, especially when I first started business, were totally against this idea of like working and enjoying your work, because they worked in corporate environments where they weren't the boss, right? And they hated their lives. And I'm speaking personally from the people that I've seen. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about the people that I've seen in my personal life. In fact, I would enjoy my work so much that I would be building my businesses. In fact, the very first business that I had was an actual corporate thing where I built a website online that sold clothing, and the clothing business kind of boomed in a short period of time relative to other clothing companies, of course. But I had to set up a small warehouse. I had to, ship things out. I had employees. I had the whole thing, right? And so that was relatively a corporate environment in a way. Not fully corporate, pretty laid back, pretty informal, but it was still kind of corporation style. With that being said, right, with everything that I'm kind of explaining here, because I don't want to waste your time, the people who saw me working on that business all the time would say stuff like, oh, you need more of a social life. For people who have heard some of my other videos, I talked about this. When I was in college and I was building that business, there was zero social life. I, on purpose, chose to reject all forms of communication or interaction. Not like some sort of weirdo or something like that, but like I had priorities, and these priorities were very serious to me. And it wasn't just for the fun of it. Like, a lot of people don't know my story. I had to earn money more than what I was doing because the financial load was on me at that point in time because of certain set circumstances in my life. The point is, and I'm not going to try to bore you here, but the point is with everything that I'm saying is people looked at the amount of time that I was putting into my work and thinking that, I was wrong for what I was doing. And for the most people who watch my videos, I don't think you guys think that. I think you guys want to actually work, but not work in a way that kind of restricts you as an individual. In fact, I created a poll, like I said, on my YouTube channel, talking about financial freedom, and many people want financial freedom. They don't want the necessarily retire early part. They still want to work, but they want freedom. So what that looks like is, if I want to work for the next week and a half and then not work for the next 2 weeks, I could do that. If I want to wake up at 12 in the afternoon and work for an hour or two and then go out to the beach and then come back and maybe take a shower and go to sleep and have some food or whatever and not have like a strict schedule for work, I want that, right? Or you guys want that is what I'm trying to say. And that's financial freedom really at its core. And I experienced true financial freedom relatively early, like I said, compared to most people, just because I've worked very, very hard during those years that I was in college on the business, okay? The point is, with everything that I'm saying is, where am I getting at this? In order to really have true financial freedom in this current age, with everything that's going on, it all sits on a platform of diversification. And for, like I said, the people who watch my videos consistently know where I'm going with this. But the people who don't, who are relatively new, I feel like need to hear this. If you're in a position where you want to maybe start supplementing income, right? Let's just say you go to work and you make $4,000 a month, right? After tax, $4,000. And you have a family to take care of, you have cars you have to pay for, and I'm just throwing numbers out there. It doesn't matter what number. And you would think in your head, oh man, it would be amazing if I could just earn an extra $1,000 a month online so, I can feel a little bit more comfortable. Well, in that case, you're looking at 25% of the income that you generate. That 25% has to come from other strategies, and ideally, that would come from something that's relatively passive. But before the income can become passive, it has to become active, right? And you have to do the active work before it comes passive. Anybody who comes off, who's never done any kind of work in their life, and they just say, oh yeah, I want to make a bunch of passive income, these people are not going to succeed in any sort of realm because they don't even know what active income is. And active income is the precursor to passive income. I mean, you just have to go through that first. You have to make active income first before it can become passive. We talked about this with stock photography. We talked about this with print on demand. We talked about this with Shopify stores, all kinds of stuff. when you're building that business in the beginning, you're working on it. You're working on it day and night. You're focused on it, right? You have really no automation. You're doing almost everything. And as soon as you get a little bit better, you make a little bit more money, now you kind of have resources to start diverting in other areas, and one of those areas being automation, so that it can start being passive, right? And it doesn't have to be automation with software. It could be hiring virtual assistants. It could be, whatever the case, right? Every business kind of differs. But it sits on the leg, like I said, the platform of diversification. If you want to have financial freedom, you have to diversify on some sort of level. So we were talking about building these apps, right? And I was talking about, like, when you build these apps, like, no matter how good it is, don't rely on it. Always work on other things in the process. One of the things that I'm really thankful for in my world of business after I sold that business is I took the approach of, why sit there and create one massive website or one massive blog post? Why not create hundreds, thousands of different sources of income? You hear the statement all the time, like the average millionaire has 7 sources of income. And that's actually a fallacy. The average millionaire has thousands of sources of income, right? Every single, let's use like a real estate person, right? Let's say they own a real estate investor. Let's say they own an apartment building. Some people will say that, oh, that's one source of income. It's an apartment building. And that's not true. That could be 36 sources of income. That could be 64 sources of income, 48 sources of income, because each individual in that building is paying them an income, right? If you do stock trading, right? If you trade different kinds of securities and things, every single time you make a trade, that is a source of income. Now, it might not be a permanent source, right? But in essence, it's a source. Like, you've made multiple sources. So if let's just say you do 5 winning trades that month, well, that's 5 sources of income. If you, for example, sell print-on-demand designs, and you put them on Redbubble, TeePublic, and let's just say you put 10 designs on TeePublic, 10 designs on Redbubble, that's a potential of 20 sources of income. Now, the sources vary in value, right? And this is kind of my holistic approach to things, is that I am not in it to try to have one source be the winner. I'm not trying to have one source be even the majority. I want to create an equal amount of income from all assets, from all sources. And that's the key to diversification, is I don't look for one business model to be my saving grace. A lot of people do that. A lot of people look towards one thing to save them. Now, in the beginning, that might be the case, but that's a very risky game. And like I said, when I had that clothing company where I was selling the clothing and, buying the products overseas and then shipping them out, that was my only income. If something had happened to that business, I would have lost everything, right? I would have lost everything. I would be back at ground zero again. So my point is that, let's just say you're doing stock photography, AI stock photography, and you have those images. Well, try to create another source where you can use those images. Maybe it's uploading to a second stock photography website. That could be an option, right? You might not have thought of it, but that could be an option. And indeed, that is another source of income, right? And every single image you upload is a source of income, whether it be 50 cents, 10 cents, $100, it doesn't matter. That's a source of income. And each asset that you upload, right, has its own lifetime value. Maybe one picture, you upload it and it will make you $60 over the course of your lifetime. Maybe one other image you upload could make you $2,000 over the course of your lifetime. Maybe another image will only make you 25 cents. But once again, it's this approach or this ideology that I'm not going to rely on one source. And after you find a second website, what about a third, a fourth, a fifth that you can upload these images to? Then you could take those images and figure out another way you can make money off those images. Well, what if I create a website and people download the images from a website and I get paid that way? That's an option, right? There are different things that you could do, right? So, for example, let's just use image creation. I can take images, right, that I create, and I can upload them to various stock photography sites. So let's just say like 4 different sites. All right, so I take those 4 different sites that create images by AI, upload them to 4 different sites, right? If I take that one image to 4 different sites, that's 4 sources of income. Then what I could do is I could take it from a print-on-demand perspective. Now, depending on how the image is made, right? If it's like a photograph, I could put it on Society6 as an example. I could use it as an asset in Zazzle. I'm not going to have it as the only image, but I'll use it as an asset, a contributing element, right? That's 2 sources right there. I can upload it to Redbubble as an example. If it's a vector or like an icon or like a sticker type image, I can incorporate it within some text or something like that and upload it to TeePublic or even Redbubble or even Society6 or even Zazzle or even Etsy. Like the list goes on, right? I don't have to sit here and kind of explain these things. You guys already know that. But that's another way of diversifying. What's another way? Well, taking those images, uploading them to an app, and creating an app where people download those images and I get paid, right? Which is the series that we're doing on the paid area, in the paid members area, right? That's an example as well of how I can take those images and turn them into income, right? So I can take a resource that essentially cost me once to make, but I can make money off of it for a very, very, very long time. Now, the key to this ideology is like if you truly want to achieve financial freedom is for a short period of time, you do have to work pretty intensely. And I know some people like to hear that and some people don't. Like I get a mix of both kind of groups on this YouTube channel. There's people who just want to make money fast. And then there's people who are okay and they understand that it takes a lot of work. Whichever group you're in, I want to explain to you that financial freedom requires intense work. Because if you want to be like really, really, let's just say, not really comfortable, but if you want to be somewhat comfortable, right? In order for you to be comfortable, like the nature of being comfortable requires storage of assets or storage of revenue or storage of something. You need storage. And that storage comes in the form of money, right? It's not like we could play ourselves. It comes in the source of money. Now, how does that happen? How can you make double, triple, quadruple? Well, number one, that comes from intense work. Now, people say the key to business success is working smart, not hard. And this is the problem that people don't understand is that in the beginning, you can't work smart because you don't know what options to take. So in the beginning, you're gonna have to work hard. And then you work smart. Now, this is not an option. Nobody sits down on their desk and says, okay, today I'm going to decide to work smart and not hard. That doesn't happen, right? Nobody sits there and chooses to work stupid on purpose. Nobody does that, but there are people who do choose not to work hard. And unfortunately, part of being financially free, the first thing is required hard work. Then it's required smart work because once you get into the business, you understand the problems, the things like that. Then you can do smart work. One of the reasons that I develop courses for you guys to utilize is because it allows you to skip over a lot of the hard work kind of aspect and go into the smart work because you have an outlined blueprint and you know exactly what to do. I'll give you an example, like for the Redbubble course. Unfortunately, before I had created my Redbubble course, there really weren't any good Redbubble courses out there. And I'm not saying that to be prideful once again or pompous about myself or try to, gas myself up. But the course that I created for $40 on Autopilot, and I'll just pull it up here so you guys know what I'm talking about, on Autopilot Passive Income, this course right here, prior to this course, there really weren't any Redbubble courses that actually helped someone. And I actually was working on Redbubble prior to the fact, years before I actually released this course, and I looked for every course to purchase. I think I purchased like maybe a good $800-900 worth of courses, and they were all pretty much trash that I could find on Google, like basic information. And so unfortunately in that position, I had to figure it out. I didn't really have a choice. So a lot of the times when you're going alone in a certain industry, right, you are going to have to figure things out alone. Like, I'll give an example. In the blogging world, when I first started, when we're talking about 9 years ago now, almost 9 years ago, really 8.5 years ago, there weren't many guides on blogging. There weren't many courses. The most you could purchase was like a book, an ebook, right, online about like SEO. Like that's the extent of where it was at. And that made things difficult for me because at the time, really prior even to building my blogs, my experience that I had was building my own website, and I profited through SEO. And when I was building that business, there was literally almost no resources on how to figure this out. Google was telling you how to build your website and the things that they require, but I didn't know what to really expect. I was doing the work for months, and I didn't really know how to even check my success. In fact, at the time, I didn't even have a Google Search Console account. I would just sit there and kind of wait for me to check my Google Analytics to see if I got views. And I'm not saying Google Search Console didn't exist at the time. I just didn't know about it. There wasn't a lot of information that I had known. I kind of had to figure it out for myself. I had purchased a few books and, purchased anything else that I could find on the topic, and there really wasn't that much information. And SEO definitely wasn't as prevalent as it is now. And for those who are curious as to what SEO is, all it means is that you're making your website a certain way so that it can appear on Google, right? And sometimes that's writing blog posts, sometimes that's finding the right keywords, sometimes it's doing partnership with other businesses to get backlinks. There's a whole lot of different things into it at the time. However, like I said, it wasn't easy. There was no guide really. And even if there was, I didn't know about it, right? So I kind of had to work, and I was kind of like blind leading myself. It was the blind leading the blind. Thank God it all ended up working out. But my point with everything that I'm saying is that you can choose to either do smart work or you could choose to do the hard work. And the smart work only comes before the hard work. Somebody's got to do the hard work, whether it's the person who's creating the course for you or whether it's you who are going to actually go out there and do the work and figure out what the kinks and the issues are so you can fix them, right? And so that's a requirement, a necessary requirement to achieve financial freedom. Now, after that, what really ends up happening is you have to work very intensely because now you know what smart work is and you have to multiply the effect. So instead of doing what a normal person does in a day, you're going to have to multiply that out. Now, whether you hire somebody to do that, whether you have automation systems like different technologies to help you do that, or whether you do that yourself, you're going to have to go into overdrive somehow. Your asset, whether it's your business or your company or whatever, it's going to have to produce more than it normally would have. Because now you have to, like I said, you have to beat the mark. You have to go above and beyond so you can start lapping the competition. And who is the competition? It's not anyone else, but it's you. You have to beat yourself, right? So let's just use this in the context of stock photography. For people who listen and who've seen my stock photography content, let's just say you first do the hard work. Let's just ignore the idea of a course, even though, by the way, anybody who wants to check it out, I'll put it up here. Let me type it up, superstockai.com/course. You can access the course. It will teach you everything on stock photography, but AI stock photography, that is. But anyways, let's just say, right, you don't purchase a course. First, you're going to have to do the hard work. You're going to have to figure out why you're getting rejections, right? You're going to have to figure out what keywords are optimal, right? You're going to have to figure out what kind of mistakes could you possibly make? What causes accounts to get banned? You're going to have to figure out what softwares are good and bad. You're going to have to purchase some crappy softwares. You're going to have to use them, and you're going to have to realize that they're not good, right? So you're going to go through a whole bunch of errors. After you figure out these errors, whether you like it or not, over time, you're going to become smart because you're going to start realizing the errors that you don't want to make, right? And then what happens is when you do the smart work, you can't operate at the same speed. So like, let's say normally you're posting 100 images a week. Well, if you're posting 100 images a week and you were posting 100 images before, right, when you were in your hard work phase, and you're trying to figure it all out, and now you're posting 100 images, what have you really cured here? All you've cured is the issues, but you haven't really multiplied your success, right? You're just going to move pretty geometrically. You're not going to move exponentially. But now it's time to take the smart work, everything that you know, and you're going to multiply this out, whether it's 10x, 5x, 6x, whatever. It depends on your level of what you're capable of, right? And you take that 100 and you do more. So instead of 100 a week, you do 700 a week. You do 7,000 a week, right? Whatever the number is. And I'm not exaggerating when I say 7,000. There are people out there who do 7,000, all right? But my point is that you can do this, right? And so once my schedule, I'll just tell you, once my schedule frees up a little bit more, I'm shooting for around, 3,800 images a week, right? That's what I'm shooting for. But the point is that you get what I'm trying to say here is that it can be done. You're going to use the smart work to kind of scale the process. Then what happens is now you're not making 100 image money anymore. You're making whatever kind of money that you've now multiplied. So if you now create 700 images, well, guess what? You're making 7 times more money now. You're making 100 times more money, 50 times more money, whatever the number is. And when you do that, right, when you multiply the efforts, like I said, whether it's you doing it, whether it's a machine doing it, whether it's you're hiring someone to do it, somehow, some way it's got to be done. But once that work gets done, you're there to reap the results. You're there to take the spoils, right? And that's kind of where financial freedom starts playing a role. Because when you start making more money, the key here, and this is the harsh truth, is that you can't waste it on crap and garbage. You have to start being smart with that money, because the reality is that you made money off of an opportunity, and opportunities don't last forever. One of the things that I said in my past few videos, and I'm not sure if some of you have heard it or not, but I never sit there and I say, okay, this is going to be the business model that's going to take me on for the rest of my life. It never happens. There are businesses that die, there are businesses that grow, but all businesses have an end date all the time. And some businesses are slower than others, but they all have an end. So what you do is you're first working to make the money. Then the money becomes multiplied, right? So it's larger, it's multiplied. Okay? After it's multiplied, then you're going to have to take the money and you're going to have to do 2 things with it. You're going to have to invest it, right, in certain assets to produce that income, right, which I've been working on. And then you're going to have to take that money, another portion of that money, and you're going to have to find new opportunities with it, right? Because what happens is if you take this money now and you blow it on things that you shouldn't be purchasing, let's just say complete garbage. Let's just say you take the money and you go gamble it all, right, at a casino or something, and you end up with 0, now what do? Well, you're in a very bad position now. And this also comes into the whole financial freedom aspect, is why you need to have multiple sources of income, is because what happens if you don't get fully over this bridge right here, where you're working and making money to where it becomes now multiplied? Because there are some businesses where you don't fully grow that business the way you should have. For whatever reason, there are some businesses like that. Well, the money that you made, if you screwed it off, then you're screwed. What else are you going to do? But best thing you can do is you can have multiple versions of these work opportunities. So if you're doing stock photography, print on demand, let's just say you have some other side businesses that you're working on, maybe you even have a job somewhere. Well, that's ways that you're going to collect the income in an effort to allocate into something large. And then you take that large income, you find new opportunities with it, and you do investments with it. You don't really want to waste it on anything, wasteful, right? Gambling, alcohol, whatever, vices, things that hurt you. You take that money, like I said, and you do the investments. Find new opportunities. And with the rest of the money that you have left over, now you can use that money for financial freedom. Now it doesn't matter if you work a day, a week, or a month from now, or even years from now. You can be in a situation, you can be fortunate in a very good situation where you've worked for a good 3 to 5 years, and now you have enough money for the next 20 years of your life. You don't need to work. Now you work when you want to work. And any kind of money that you make is just extra on top of that 20-year span. So let's just say you made X amount during 20 years, during 3 years of work. And yes, you can do that. Trust me, you can do that. Because I know there's going to be some people, oh no, it's impossible. If you've watched this channel consistently, you know almost anything is possible. But let's just say in a 3-year period of work, you make X amount of money. And X amount of money is worth 20 years based on your expenses. Well, instead of increasing your living expenses and going crazy, right, now you have a situation where you can live free for the next 20 years. But during those 20 years, it's not like you're going to just wake up and do nothing, right, and go to sleep. Well, you might as well do something, and one of those things are work. You figure out how to make more money. Now, it's not like an addiction kind of thing. It's just a financial freedom aspect. You want freedom because these 20 years are not going to be the entirety of your life. You might be 20 years old, 25, 26, maybe even 35. But 35 plus 20, that's 55 years old. You still have, a long way to go. You're not dead yet. So with the rest of that 20-year period, that's when you start building more and more and more, and you turn that 20 into now 40 years, 60 years, 80 years, 100 years, whatever, and you retire off that income, and you're essentially financially free. All right? So you could think of this as like a blueprint or a guide to achieving financial freedom. And like I said, the platform that it all sits on is diversification. The reality is that majority of success has not been created through one system. And you can take the concept of diversification, the programming, you can take it down the line. In fact, something that I like to do is I like to program you guys into success. People who watch these videos, I like to repeat things over and over and over. I don't repeat things for no reason. I'm trying to make an impact on you. And one of the impacts that I like to make is I like to teach you guys to diversify. And you want to diversify in every aspect of your life, whether it's the income that you're making, whether it's the opportunities that you have, even the different business models that you're using, and internally in those business models, what are the income vectors? So if it's print on demand, the income vector is the design. Well, you want to diversify. If one design is doing really good, time to upload 15 more. Time to upload 1,000 more, right? You get the concept. So diversification on every level makes a huge difference, even in investing, right? Sometimes diversification can be your saving grace. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. These are kind of the more logical explanation type videos. I don't know if you enjoy them. I hope you do, and I hope it's effective. And more importantly, I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you for watching, and peace out. Bye.